Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today is your arborist specialist. I don't know, that's probably not actually your title, but it's Anna Healy, and she is here and back to talk about trees, obviously, but more important, we're taking on a really interesting project on inventorying the trees of Fitchburg, which when you look at it at a whole, you're like, that's a lot of trees.
It is a lot of trees.
But that's kind of rewarding too, right?
It's great.
So,
it's awesome.
Tell us, what are we doing here and why?
Okay, good question. So we have been planting trees like maniacs for a dozen years or so, and we do have a tree inventory that dates back to 2013, but we haven't really had the staff resources to keep it up. So parts of it are up to date, parts of it are not up to date. So when that ARPA money came along, we had put in for a project to update our tree inventory, and it was funded, which is awesome. So we hired a consultant to go around to the neighborhoods. For example, Southdale, that we recently acquired, we have no information for that neighborhood, and we also have done quite a bit of tree planting there since we've got that neighborhood in the last year. And so the idea is to update our existing inventory and add all of the trees that we've been planting. And so we have an awesome GIS specialist. He got together a database that we gave to this consultant. They have it on their device, and they are updating all of our information with size, condition, tree species is basically what we're gathering. And the whole idea is that in order to manage, we're to the point where we really do need to do more hands-on management with our urban forest to take advantage of that investment of all the trees that we've been planting. And the best way to do that is to plan. And the best way to plan is to know what you have and, be able to allocate budget dollars and staff time appropriately to be able to take care of that resource moving forward.
It's kind of interesting because in government, city government, there's a lot of planning, a lot of pre-planning. We're trying to be ahead. We're trying to stay ahead, try to understand. And if you don't have the inventory, the understanding, how are you supposed to know how to replace it or move forward? So it's pretty important. It's
super important. It'll be important for everything from when we negotiate our leaf contract or our waste contract with the leaf portion of it. I mean, it'll play into that, that's next year. Also, where do we have resources where do we have tree resources? Where do we need to be planting more trees? All of that kind of information. What species do we have out there? Do we have too many maples? Probably. Honey locust is probably our second most. We do want to diversify, so if we do have a pest that comes, like emerald ash borer, we are less susceptible to, to large scale canopy loss. We also want to see what's working. What trees are in great condition, what trees maybe should we plant in different places because of they're maybe not as suited for the terrace as we'd like. We've been trying a lot of different things, especially the last 4 or 5 years in light of global warming. It'd be really great to be able to keep a little closer tabs on them. Hey, how are some of these trees doing? Is it something we should continue? Is it something that we might want to think about planting something different? So it's just a matter of keeping track of what you have and being able to really do some planning moving forward.
Are they going to count the trees in people's yards? So let's break down where the counting is actually happening, because that might be the next question. Like, you see people outside that are doing the work here, but what are they actually looking at? So
it's trees in public properties. So we are focusing mostly in the terrace. So trees in the terrace and in some right-of-ways. Right-of-ways, I call right-of-way the public area where we might plant trees, but there is no sidewalk. So they're in the area between the street and the sidewalk. I call that the terrace, or in that same area, which I call the right-of-way, just that there's no sidewalk. And we're trying to get a handle on what trees are in the public property. So we're not paying any attention to private trees at this point.
Let's talk about the downfall side. If we don't do this, if we don't keep inventory, if we don't, we've heard the why pretty much, but other outcomes that could come from not staying on top of it and basically making your job probably pretty difficult.
So, for example, the next pest we're probably going to be facing is Asian longhorn beetle. Asian longhorn beetle prefers maples. If we know where all our maples are, we can keep track of it, keep looking for that beetle, and if we do get it, we know, okay, we have 3,000 maple trees that we need to manage for this particular pest. And if you already know what you have, you're a step ahead of A, knowing where to look for the problem, and B, how to mitigate that problem. So it just helps you keep a step ahead of anything that might be coming your way, because you already have the idea of, okay, we know what's at risk and where it's located.
If residents want to know, like, let's say they're interested in putting a tree in their yard, they're like, they're like, man, this Anna person sounds like she knows what she's talking about. Could they reach out to you and be like, hey, I kind of want to help. What do I do?
Yes, that's a great question. And we do have a urban tree guide on our website that kind of walks people through the different trees that we plant. residents actually have a wider palette of trees that would do well in yards. We have a palette of trees that we plant in terraces and in parks, and that's all on our website, and it's laid out, I think, pretty well with some pictures and some information if you want to know what kind of trees that you might want to plant, or if you see a tree that you like and you're wondering what it is, you can figure it out from that tree guide.
So for full circle on this, you're going to see people out for about the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Yep.
How will they be identified? And just in case you're like, is this the tree person or is it somebody else?
Right. Good question. It's Wachtel Tree Science that's doing this. They're wearing Wachtel gear, so to speak. That's got the Wachtel. It's a leaf logo. They have high-vis vests on, and they have a device that they have with a drop-down menu that they're using. And they should just be looking at the trees, the public trees. They're not peering in windows. They're not looking in garages. They're not doing that sort of thing. So if someone shows up and is like looking in your garage, it's not one of our tree people.
When will we see, so it's happening pretty much real time for information,
Yep.
but will we provide or will we have a report that kind
Yep.
of, I mean, you got the report, so to speak, but
Yep.
What will that look like when it is complete?
So when we get it all done, we will be able to hopefully put on our website a little bit more information about the urban tree canopy that we have out there. I would love to make it interactive so people can actually see what trees on their street. I don't have the technical expertise for that, so I need to...
Well, you just keep asking, right?
Right, exactly. So I need to kind of work on that a little bit more. But we should be able to have some information on our website here by spring, I would guess.
Okay, yeah, it's going to be great, and hopefully folks will get involved and learn. But if people are curious, again, you said go to the website.
Yep.
You have information about the trees that we have here, or if
Yep.
people just are generally interested, they can get involved.
Absolutely, yes. And I really appreciate when people care about trees. And to be honest, like the more trees we have, public-private, the better off we all are. Urban Tree Canopy includes those private trees, and we are grateful to have them. So we're grateful when people are willing to plant trees.
Well, this is awesome. I hope that they can get as many trees as possible counted in
Me
the
too.
time that they have and the budget
Yep.
that we have to do it. But we'll look forward to some of the results, and we'll get you back on here and maybe
That'd be great.
take a look at a couple of the areas and see what we got. So,
Absolutely. That would be awesome.
all right, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You bet.